The transition was jarring. One moment, Vedran was a creature of the air, suspended by tension in physics. The next, he was a man tethered by gravity. As his boots sunk into the dew-dampened grass of the landing field, the sudden weight of the hang glider felt immense. The aluminum frame, which had been his wings for the last hour, now pulled at his shoulders with the stubborn reality of metal. Marco jogged across the field, his orange batons now dark and tucked into his belt. He reached out to steady the leading edge of Vedran's wing, helping him balance the cumbersome craft against a stray breeze. "Clean flare, Vedran," Marco said, his voice a low rumble that broke the spell of the high-altitude silence. Vedran could only nod, his lungs still tasting the thin, cold air of the summit. A few yards away, Astra stood perfectly still, beside her own downed wing. She hadn't moved since unhooking her harness. She looked up at the stars, her arms wrapped around herself, as if trying to hold on to the sensation of the flight. For her, the landing wasn't just a return to safety. It was a slow fading of a dream that only a few ever got to dream while awake. Vedran finally unclipped the carabiner that had bound him to the wing. He walked over to Astra, his legs feeling heavy and strange, as if he were walking through water. They stood together in the center of the dark field, two pilots who had shared the same currents of air but different journeys of the mind. "The river tried to keep me," Vedran whispered, referencing the cold sink that had nearly claimed his momentum. Marco began the rhythmic process of breaking down the equipment. He slid the protective pads over the delicate joints of the frame, while Vedran helped him tension the crossbar for disassembly. The metallic clack of the pins being pulled felt like a final punctuation mark. The magic was being folded away, tucked into long, narrow bags that looked like oversized cocoons. Astra watched them work, but her mind was still 3,000 feet up. She could still feel the phantom vibration of the wind in the wires, a hum that seemed to have settled into her very bones. She knew that tomorrow, the mundane world of streets and ceilings would feel too small, too restrictive. Once you have seen the world without a floor, the ground is never quite the same. "You handled that downdraft well," Astra said, joining the men as they finished with the first glider. She looked at Vedran, noting the slight tremor in his hands, the common aftershock of a high adrenaline descent. Most people panic when the lift vanishes. You just traded height for speed. You chose to move forward instead of falling down. Marco hoisted one of the long bags onto his shoulder, motioning toward the distant headlights of their transport vehicle. "The mountain gave us a good window tonight," he remarked, looking back at the dark silhouette of Mount Vodna. "But she doesn't like to stay quiet for long. The wind is already starting to shift back toward the north." Vedran took the other end of the bag, feeling the solid connection of teamwork. Astra picked up her harness and helmet, the gear feeling like a discarded shell. She felt a profound sense of gratitude for the safety of the earth, yet a bittersweet ache for the freedom she had just relinquished. She took one last deep breath of the night air, smelling the wild thyme from the mountain slopes that had hitched a ride on her clothes. They reached the truck and loaded the gear, the heavy thud of the tailgate closing like a door on another world. As they drove away from the landing field, the three of them looked back one last time. Mount Vodna sat silent and majestic under the moon, a giant guarding the secrets of the sky. They were grounded now, but the wind they had carried down with them would stay in their hearts until the next